Hi, Natalie. Welcome to the EO Wonder podcast again.
Hi, Kalika. So good to see you.
So great. And we had you on the podcast a couple years ago, I think when we first launched. And I'm so excited to have you back on. Natalie is the founder of Mindful Wellness, a training and coaching platform to help you build your own source of calm, clarity, and powerful resilience. And I think this is a new year, and I think we all need, personal resilience and fierce compassion. What do you think, Natalie?
Oh my God, like never before. I mean, even we've been through almost 2 years of a pandemic, and it feels like we're being tested in new ways, even today. It's like what we thought we had a year ago. Here we go again with the new Omicron variant.
Yeah,
So,
I think you were telling me that you were just about to go to San Diego, but
yes.
decided not
Yeah,
to
my
because
sister got COVID and I was going to head down there this morning, and she just got tested this morning. My relatives from Ecuador are here, and I did get to see them earlier in the week briefly, but we cannot gather. And this is happening with everyone I know, actually on my husband's side of the family, on other members of the family. We saved Christmas by rapid testing the night before Christmas and discovering that one of our party was positive. So we prevented further spread. It actually did work in the way it was intended, but it's been really ups and downs, highs and lows, feeling the, disappointment, the fear and uncertainty, the unknowing of how long this will last. What does it mean? What does it mean that so many people are getting it? And could this be the end? Or is this just something we're going to have to live with these ups and downs of uncertainty in every level of our life, economy, personal relationships, our own personal growth and expansion, and what we're doing in our own business and how we see ourselves expanding and growing. This has really been affected also during the pandemic.
yeah, it feels like a roller coaster, huh?
It's really a roller coaster. In fact, a good friend of mine, Linda Graham, who wrote a book on resilience 2 years ago, she and I have talked a lot about this, and I've been using this term anticipatory resilience, which is what can you do now to build the skills of mindfulness, of compassionate awareness, of courage, of compassion, to be able to handle all of these ups and downs. In other words, can you anticipate also what you might encounter? And the more you can anticipate it, the more you can prepare yourself and go, all right, I know the terrain. I can get myself even comfortable with those downs, right? Comfortable with the difficult emotions, with grief, with fear, uncertainty, unknowing, and then can we make room for all of the complexities of our lives today? So it really is, can we use mindfulness to make room for it? And we do that through a regular practice, seeing clearly, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much for introducing her. I met her at Spirit
Yes.
Rock when we had our 6-day silent retreat earlier a couple of weeks ago. And she is just so powerful. So she wrote the book Resilience and also Bouncing
Yes,
Back, right? I think
that's
she has
right.
other books as well.
Yeah, those two books, Bouncing Back and Resilience. And, we were both talking, she and I, about this, how beautiful it is to imagine that you could get ready for disaster, get ready for trials. And even if they're just small daily issues like your customers, your clients demanding more after they've signed a deal, employees shutting down because they are dealing with too much stress themselves, they can't function very well. How do we really get ready for the difficulties? And we just, how do we prepare ourselves mentally and emotionally? So a lot of this really has to do with a kind of emotional resilience within ourselves and then in our relationships, which are vital to our work and family life, right?
I know you were telling me a story during Christmas when your family member, found out that they had COVID, that it was so unexpected that you can actually, we need to prepare for that, right? Because it's so
Yes.
unexpected that you have COVID.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disaster. And I mean, we all should really know this right now because it's happening in real time. that, we all had talked about rapid testing, but there was no real plan for it. So we should have tested earlier, but we hadn't. On Christmas Eve night, we decided, you know what, let's test because we're going to be a larger group tomorrow on Christmas. And let's just make sure we're all being safe. And everyone thought, oh, great, let's do it. Of course I'm going to be negative. No one had any symptoms. And it was one test after another in the kitchen. We had prepared a little laboratory. And it was like, okay, you're negative, you're negative, you're negative. And then, oh my God, my nephew's fiance, who was brand new to the family from Sweden, she was positive. And I had to call her and my nephew into the kitchen and just get ready for it. And, her first words, she just screamed out an expletive. And she said, no way, there's no way this can be true. And then just all hell broke loose. Like no one knew what to do. She went storming off into the back of the house, started crying. My nephew was trying to console her. I went to console her. None of us were wearing masks. We didn't have a set plan. And of course, the emotional downs, feeling terribly, like she felt so responsible that she might have infected all of us. And then everyone felt bad for her. And then knowing what we would do in the next hours, in the next day, all of that had to be made up in the moment. And one thing, so what does anticipatory resilience do in a moment like that? Like make a plan. Decide, talk to everybody about, okay, we all think we're negative, but let's just agree that if you are positive, here's what the plan is. You agree to mask up immediately, to leave the premises. We will cancel all the gatherings and, just start laying out the plan. And that helps everyone to say, all right, I'm ready for this. If it's me, I'm not going to feel so terrible about myself, but I'm going to do the right thing. And then everyone feels good. They feel aligned with, we're trying to protect everybody. We're trying to live by our values and be safe. And it's not such a disaster in moments like that.
Yeah, because for the past 2 years, we've all been trying to avoid it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we feel like it's at the tail end. And then here you are after, trying not to get it for 2 years and you get it.
Yes,
And you're
and
about to celebrate.
Yes. Here's the other thing too. So I've had even other occurrences since then with family. Families expect to gather. And of course, as family members, it's our highest value is to connect and to gather when we can. And then, familiarity breeds comfort. And it really shouldn't in this case. We think because we know someone that they're safe. And so everyone assumes, okay, the gathering will happen. We don't even need to test. We don't need to take precautions. But what we're trying to do is to protect the most vulnerable. The elderly, everyone has family members who are likely vulnerable in one way or the other. And even if we don't know they are, they might be. So yeah, I think families need to have this courageous conversation, really. And it's not easy. As we know through the politics in the last 4 or 5 years, and through this pandemic that has been politicized, even having discussions with family members about it is just rife with problems. So who can be the one in your family who has the courage to start the conversation? Even my husband and I, who bought all of those rapid tests, we felt so bad for forcing everyone to take it until they realized, wow, we had done a good service for everyone involved.
Yeah, you did the right thing. And also just not the expectation that you would just be like, oh, let's just do it. Let's check it off our list and then just go and have fun and dance and, enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, we're supposed to be having a good time. And, we can. It's just the more we prepare, and also then we can use those other tools, right? So what happened with my family gathering, it just turned into a shitstorm. Let's just face it. It was a disaster. No one knew what to do. Emotions were flying. But for me, the way I was managing it was just to see very clearly, naming it, validating the experience by saying, okay, this is really messy. Let's see how we can help everyone to feel safe. Let's validate what people are feeling. Let's name it. Whenever we name it, that saying, name it to tame it, we immediately get our brain, our conscious brain, the prefrontal cortex online. And that's the CEO of our brain. then we can think clearly and make good decisions. And also, if we ask everyone to validate how they're feeling and what they're thinking, they get the CEO of their brain online, and everyone can act with more clarity, right? And they can manage their emotions at the same time with more clarity, right? Because they are naming their experience. So we start to get clear about all of those difficult feelings, which tend to usually cloud our judgment, because the amygdala, that fight or flight part of our brain that throws us into activating that sympathetic nervous system, it really usually clouds judgment, and it clouds our ability to manage emotions and thoughts. So naming our experience, seeing clearly, making room for us to be human, like this is also a key component, right? This is normal. Like even freak out is normal. When I saw my nephew's fiance freak out, I thought, well, of course this is normal that she is panicking. And so just normalizing situations helps you to calm down a bit and see with a wider perspective. Any human being would react like this in this circumstance. Let's make room for it. Let's name it. And then let's see how we can consciously act with that sense of balance to know what the next step is, right?
And you were so kind to her, right?
Oh, yeah.
You embraced her, or right, without a
Well,
mask.
I was a little, I went a little overboard. I actually went to go in the back room and just comfort her and say, it's going to be okay. Let's retest you. We had more rapid tests. I said, don't worry, no matter what happens, things are going to be all right. Please don't feel bad. And then I needed to go find a mask for myself even. That was a little hairy, and the good news is she was positive. Yes, my nephew positive, but 8 of us that had been vaccinated and boosted, we did not get it, even though we'd had dinner together and we were together for a whole day inside of a house without masks, but we got lucky. So again, probably just at the right time we tested, and we just found out in time. Wouldn't recommend, it's like at your own risk, we do these things. And, knock on wood that we hope this will be a more mild case for most people, but I know very much that our hospitals are being overwhelmed. I've just heard that from several doctors that I work with.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know I heard that there's like over 1 million cases in the US right now. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah,
out there.
I just heard from a colleague of mine, there are no ICU beds available in Massachusetts right now.
Wow.
So it's happening.
That was fast.
Yeah. So what do we do with that extreme? Even if I can feel in my body right now the stress, just the sadness, the fear, oh God, why is this going on again? And so again, those waves of that up and down, like how hard it is to feel whipsawed into like, okay, we're getting through it. Business is coming back. I can start, with my plan, even for the new year. And then here we go again, feeling like we're taken down. How do we stay strong in the whipsaw, right? And I guess here again, we can name that it's normal for us to be feeling this way, given that we're in a pandemic, right?
So maybe
So how do we gain that strength, right? How do we gain that strength? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe you can share us with our audience some tools of this fierce self-compassion. And I think that you also are so kind to be able to teach, entrepreneurs and people at Wharton about mindfulness, and you teach them these tools like self-soothing. Can you share some tips and tools with our audience?
Yeah, why is it important? So I teach mindfulness and I teach mindful self-compassion, that program developed by Doctors Kristen Neff and Chris Germer. And why is self-compassion important? The research more and more is showing, over 4,000 research studies showing that self-compassion helps you to be your own ally. It gives you confidence. It gives you the willingness to try again after failure. So important for entrepreneurs. And then for leadership, why does it matter? So I teach leaders, I teach doctors and nurses, healthcare professionals, self-compassion practices, because when we are struggling, when we're dealing with difficult emotions and especially self-criticism. So entrepreneurs, medical professionals, you name it, we are perfectionists. We will work as hard as possible to get things right. And that also means that we tend to be highly self-critical. When we're lost in self-criticism, our vision actually narrows, and that narrows the possibility of seeing solutions, of seeing what the next step should be. When we're facing self-criticism, imagine that we're being attacked by ourselves, basically, like, how could you be such an idiot? Or why are you struggling with your business? Why are things failing? We tend to blame ourselves. And when we're lost in that self-criticism, we start to have a skewed perspective of who we are, and we can't really lead with clarity. We can't even listen to our clients, our customers, our coworkers, our colleagues, our patients, our family members, whoever it is we're dealing with. We can't truly be present and open because we're really lost in that sense of beating ourselves up and being really pissed off at ourselves, right? So this gets in the way of clarity. It gets in the way of leadership. And we can use this powerful 3-part process called the self-compassion break in any moment when we're struggling. Now, most of us aren't so great with this that we can do it right on the spot when we are struggling. It usually happens after the fact. Maybe we had a difficult conversation with a client, or maybe we lost a deal, or one of our colleagues is not responding well with responsiveness or a lack of communication. And whenever we feel that difficulty, whether it's in the moment or later tonight, we can always practice this 3-part practice. So we use mindfulness, common humanity, and self-kindness as a way of engaging our conscious brain and making room for ourselves to respond like an inner ally. So we can do this. I can lead us in a practice doing this.
I love
And
that.
one thing I want to share too is that self-compassion tends to be thought of as a soft skill, right? And a lot of people think, oh, self-compassion, I don't need that. That's for, it's going to make me weak, or I'm not going to be able to motivate myself or be strong. And one thing that's critical to know is that self-compassion involves not only tender, caring, comforting, soothing, and validating, but also strengthening, protecting, providing, motivating ourselves. And it's actually like an inner force that we can use, especially in the midst of difficulty, so we can be strong, so we can speak up for ourselves. We can provide for ourselves when we feel like there's nothing left in the gas tank, right? We can motivate ourselves to try again, even after we've failed. So that being said, there are several different kinds of self-compassion breaks, fierce and tender. And I'm just going to lead us in a kind of general self-compassion break, and then we can see what happens. So this will be, 4 or 5 minutes of a kind of guided reflection. The idea here is that we practice in a lengthened 4 or 5 minute practice in order to learn how to do it on the spot. All right. So if you are listening to this and you're in the midst of all kinds of things, you might want to just, shut things down. Allow yourself to have a few minutes just to do this reflection. And also, if at any time during the practice it feels like it's too much, please know you can just let go, open your eyes, take a break, guide yourself as you need. So you may wish to do this with eyes closed or open. We're just going to turn towards our inner world, our inner experience. And I'd like for you to just think of a recent stressful moment, something that might have happened today or in the last week. And please choose a mild to moderate stressor, nothing too strong, nothing traumatic, but something mild to moderate. Maybe you had a bit of a difficult conversation at work. Maybe something happened you didn't expect with a customer, a colleague. Maybe you're going to have to make a business decision that you're really unsure about, and it's causing you some stress. So allowing yourself to think of this stressful situation and visualize who's there, who's involved, what happened or what's happening, what's been said. And see if you can notice the stress arising even in your physical body and locate where you feel that. Maybe it's a point of muscle tension in your chest, in your head, your upper trunk. And turning towards that part of your body with curiosity and mindfulness, see if you can name your experience. Just saying to yourself, this is a moment of difficulty, or this is hard, this is stressful. That's using mindfulness to validate what's here. And then turning towards common humanity, remembering that all humans have stressors like this. In fact, other people would feel just like I'm feeling in this circumstance. I'm not alone. This is normal. Other people feel like this too. And then turning towards yourself with kindness, you may wish to place a hand on your heart or offer some kind of supportive gesture to your body. Maybe it's just hand holding the hand in a gesture of support. So connecting to yourself physically and saying something kind. May I be strong in this moment of stress. I'm right here. Or I've got your back. We're going to get through this. Or may I have the courage to be here for myself and to still move forward. Or just choosing whatever you might say to a dear friend who is going through a similar situation. What would you say to them? Hey, you've got this. You have the courage. Give yourself a break. And so just noticing what's still here, you may still notice a little bit of that stress, or maybe another feeling has arisen. So seeing if you might name that again, just with mindfulness, what's here. Yeah, I'm still noticing the thoughts around it, remembering common humanity. This is normal. I'm not the only one. And offering that kind attention again, that inner support. May I be kind to myself because of this situation. And then when you're ready, coming out of this practice, noticing how you are. So this 3-part practice using mindfulness, naming your experience. Remember, name it to tame it. Common humanity, I'm not the only one. Self-kindness, using a phrase you might say to a friend to validate how you are, to offer kindness, and then to offer courage, strength, whatever fierce qualities you need. And we really need both, right? We need those tender, validating, and kind responses, because when we struggle, it sucks. Let's face it. It's just, it hurts. It does. Actually, stress equals pain equals hurt. And if you look at physiological studies, right, that stress may feel like a physical pain. So let's soothe ourselves. Let's comfort ourselves like we would to a good friend. And then let's motivate ourselves. Let's encourage ourselves like an inner ally would do, right? Yeah. And so just the 3 parts, using mindfulness, naming your experience, common humanity, I'm not the only one. And then self-kindness, responding to yourself like you would to a good friend, right? Soothing and caring, because stress is really equivalent to pain in the body. It hurts. So soothing and comforting, and then encouraging and motivating yourself. Because when we go through stress, what do we need the most? We need encouragement, right? Some people think that they don't have an inner critical voice. They think, well, that's not too big of a problem for me. But actually, if they don't hear critical words, usually it's a sense of deflation or a lack of confidence. When we go through stress, we usually lose our positive mindset and we start to lower, again, that confidence that we can really do what we need to do, right? You ever felt like that on a day, on an important day, when you've got a big project or maybe you have a speech or a talk you need to give and something goes wrong? It's like all of a sudden, oh my God, can I do this? Am I up to the task? Can I do my presentation today? And then you've got to dig deep. And most of us can do that, but it's best to know you have tools available, right?
And it's practice.
Yes, it is a practice. So helpful to practice this over and over and over again, because especially now, these ups and downs have a higher amplitude than what I've seen over many, many years. I think any of us would agree with that the ups and downs are much higher and much lower because the lows have been so strong. We're really not used to this level of grief and this level of uncertainty, right?
You had shared a story with me a couple of weeks ago about even as a meditator yourself, you're still human. And I think that you were talking about how you were like carrying these buckets of shame or something. Can you share that
Yeah.
amazing story?
Yeah, it's great. I'll never forget it. I was actually on a silent retreat, a week-long silent retreat years ago, maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I had just come away from a very busy week in my business. I was at a large conference, 500 women, and one of the presenters had said something that referred to my business and had referred to mindfulness, since that is my business, as boring. And I thought, oh my God, this is really shaming. And I felt just all of a sudden my heart sank, And then something else happened with another business colleague of mine that was a disruption in our relationship and really risked our business relationship. And then I think I'd gotten bronchitis right before the retreat. So I was feeling really down. And I realized during the first 2 days of retreat, I was so judgmental of everybody and everything. And I thought, wow, this is not like me. I'm just judging left and right. And what I realized underneath that was I was really feeling this shame, like feeling bad about myself because of that disruption, all of the events that had occurred. And I realized that shame is something we experience every day. A lot of people don't talk about it. They don't think they have it. But actually, anytime you feel overly angry about something, anytime you feel like you've got these really sticky emotions that you can't let go of, or you feel overwhelmed, or you feel threatened, usually there's a vein of shame in it. And shame is something that, it's that feeling like, oh my God, if anyone discovered this about me, I would never be acceptable. I'm unworthy. I'm just, as a mindfulness and self-compassion teacher, if anyone thought of me as unkind, oh my God, then I'd be a fraud. Like maybe if I'm unkind to my husband, then I'm really a fraud, because how could she be like that, right? But the truth is, we're all human, we're all imperfect, and we all really walk with shame on a regular basis. And I remember in that retreat realizing it's almost like we carry these painful emotions with us. We carry also shame with us regularly. And the more we can accept that, see it, familiarize ourselves with it, again, we develop this anticipatory resilience. And I had this vision at the time, like I was walking, carrying these 2 big, like wooden buckets filled with heavy water. And it was carrying shame. Like I had been just carrying that around. And I thought, you know what? I can walk like this. I can still walk forward. I can walk through that door, even with shame, because shame is a part of our human experience, just like all other difficult emotions and just like all wonderful positive emotions. So what are we looking at here? Really emotional resilience and normalizing difficult emotions. And the more I can do that, the more I make room for my life. All of these things are experiences I can handle, and I can handle them because I know they're normal and I can care for myself while I'm feeling them, right?
And they're universal. Everyone feels
And they're
them.
universal. Yeah. So one other thing I like to teach around shame is, each of us the funny thing about it is each of us go through the same experience, but we think we're the only ones. Like we think shame is permanent, like it's always been here, like I've always been unworthy, right? And we also think that nobody is like us. Like I'm the most unworthy of all. So I'm literally hanging at the edge of the universe, or let's call it the edge of the galaxy. And I'm hanging literally by my fingertips at the edge of the galaxy. Well, if I were to look left and look right, I would realize every other person has this same fear, the same negative core belief, thinking that we're the most unworthy when we feel shame. And so it is absolutely universal. It's really laughable, frankly, when we think at one point in my life, one point or another, I thought, I'm the dumbest, I'm a fraud, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not old enough, I'm not smart enough, whatever it is that you think. These are all normal negative core beliefs we all have had at one point or another, and we can start to identify them. And this is helpful in leadership. It's helpful when we make mistakes, when things go wrong. What do? We typically shame ourselves. We don't get that business deal if we make a wrong move, if we undersell ourselves, we underbid. What are we going to do? So again, shame puts that cloud over us. We don't really see clearly. We don't see with perspective. So we can really out shame and normalize it again and be truly a fierce warrior in our lives, right? We can handle so much, and we need it. We need it now more than ever. Oh my God, it truly takes my breath away, what we've been going through, truly.
And we wouldn't talk like how we talk to ourselves, to our friend, right? Like
Never.
if someone was going through this issue or challenge, they lost a deal, like what do we say to them? We say like, oh, yeah, success is right around the corner, right? We don't talk like that to ourselves.
Oh,
We're just
no
like,
way. Oh yeah, how could you have been such an idiot? You underbid, or you didn't listen fully on that call. You forgot to even put that in your contract or your proposal. Or how could you have sent that email? And now look what you've done to that relationship. How could you have done all of these things? And it's worse than that. We actually berate ourselves, say, you're such a loser. How could you be such an idiot? And if we were to say that to a friend, say goodbye, we just would not have that friendship, right? But it's perfectly acceptable to talk to yourself that way, right?
And when we talk to ourselves like that, we're practicing this negativity to ourselves, right?
Yeah, actually, the research around that harsh, negative self-talk is that we're actually destroying confidence. So the more we criticize ourselves, so a couple of things, like physiologically, we activate that fight or flight response in the body. When that's chronic, we start to see the chronic effects of stress. So isn't it interesting? We activate the threat defense system in our own bodies. We release adrenaline and cortisol, that stress hormones in the blood. And over time, what happens? Increasing stress, anxiety, depression, lack of confidence. So we're whittling away our own confidence when we agree to talk to ourselves like that. This is not a winning solution.
And you should know, because you studied neuropsychology.
Yes, exactly. I mean, so the science is there. This is really powerful, right? The science is there that we can, the one powerful thing is we can learn, these are skills you can learn. They're trainable. We see it in different measures scientifically. We can track that, and we can see the positive outcomes in greater confidence, greater optimism, happiness, greater health, immunity, less stress, less anxiety, less depression. These are really powerful outcomes that we see again and again. So, I think it's really changing the messaging around this. How do we become strong and fierce? And so moving away from, again, that thinking it's soft into becoming more empowered with what we need to do, right? How do we stay calm in the storm and confident amidst this kind of chaos that we're in?
I keep on going back to the idea of practice. Like I know, we both love Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen Buddhist monk, and when they talk about taming the tiger within, the anger. A lot of people say like just punch a pillow, or but he says that when we do that, we're actually practicing
Mm,
anger. So
mm,
before you even do that, like why don't you get in touch with the feelings of maybe it's fear or of losing relationship, or the shame that's sort of underneath it, and feeling that,
mm.
so you understand what it is rather than lashing out. So,
Yeah,
and
this is really important. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and I was thinking, because we both just, finished our silent retreat at Spirit Rock, which was phenomenal. And as a longtime meditator, I think you've been meditating, what, over 30 years, like you even lived in an ashram, right?
Uh-huh.
And you're
Uh-huh.
still practicing. Like someone who does meditates and teaches people meditation, you still take the time out of your busy, busy schedule from being on the Today Show and, being featured all over the place to practice.
Yes, yes. And that practice, the beautiful thing is that practice can look like a lot of things. For some people, sitting meditation is difficult. So you can do walking meditation. You can do Qigong, which we just did in our 6-day retreat. I loved it. You can do dancing meditation, which I do regularly. You can practice mindful swimming and hiking. But remember, so a lot of people go like, oh, I already practice, but it really does require more intention. So, a true intention and even a kind of framework. So, the meditation for me may look a little bit different every day. Some days I am practicing seated meditation. Some other days I'm doing Qigong. Some other days I'm doing a blend. I've infused that meditative practice throughout my day in multiple, and actually, one great way to practice is in small bits throughout the day. So you just literally sew it into your day. And this is a great way with neuroplasticity to practice regularly in small bits, but throughout the day. So you might practice like the stop practice at any moment, creating a moment of mindfulness, stopping what you're doing, take 3 deeper breaths. Observe how you are right now in your body. Observe what's here in your mind with openness. Name what you're seeing. And then the P is to proceed. But you're literally creating these purposeful breaks in the day where you slow down or stop and you become mindfully aware of how you are, how you're interacting, how you're engaging, what's needed right now. And then you proceed. You can blend that way of living, because mindfulness is a way of living, being consciously aware, being present with what's happening. And that doesn't mean you're always calm or peaceful. You could be angry and be mindful of seeing, wow, anger is arising in me. What's here? Maybe what's underneath that? Am I afraid? Have I been hurt? Can I notice what's here on a deeper level and tend to that, right? So this awareness really exists on all these levels. And the more we practice being aware, again, whether it's sitting meditation, yoga, qigong, tai chi, all of our practices, the more we do that, the more clarity we have. And again, the more possibility of responding in alignment with how we want to be. It just becomes possible, right?
Yeah, I love the Qigong practice because, it does get tiring. We were meditating for 16 hours a day, right?
Yes.
We also included work meditation.
Right.
So I loved washing dishes and
I was sweet,
vacuuming.
and I was sweeping the courtyard.
And you
That
can
was
do
great.
that with mindfulness.
Yeah, I mean, think about what you do at home: cooking a meal, eating a meal, doing your dishes, as you said, doing the laundry. Can you simply do one thing at a time so that you can see clearly? So we know that multitasking, there's a lot of research based on, focused attention and looking at multitasking, creating ADD, making us less efficient. And yet we still really push that, don't we, in business? You've got to be able to do 3 things at once. You're on Zoom, you're writing an email, you're, eating a meal, and who knows what else you're doing, maybe painting your nails. It's like we are not really we're not We're not wired to do that. So again, if you're doing anything at all, can you do one thing at a time with intention, with that conscious awareness? This will help you to allow yourself to get calm, see clearly, live in alignment with how you want to be, and make good decisions. This is really critical, right, in business. How do we make good decisions? Usually not when we're overwhelmed. We also don't learn much when we're overwhelmed. We know that too. And in business, we need to keep learning, right? We're learning all the time, growing.
So it's January 2022, and everyone is, putting together their New Year's resolutions as people do, when there's some type of, new timeline, looking forward to, a different type of life. Do you have any New Year's resolutions, or what do you think about New Year's resolutions?
Yeah. I like to give myself the whole month of January to number one. So if I'm going to do any resolutions, and I haven't done mine yet, I first do New Year's appreciation. Where have I come? What have I done? What have I accomplished? Can I give myself credit and validation for all that I've done? Look how far I've come. In fact, I want to actually strengthen the qualities that I've built, the skills I've learned, the wins, the projects that were completed, the deals that were made. This is critical. I want to actually, before I do any resolution, I want to strengthen the foundation I'm standing on. And I'm going to do that first. And from there, I'm going to see how I can continue strengthening and aligning with what I want to do. And I have a lot of things I want to do. And sometimes, as any entrepreneur will say, right, we have too many things usually. This is the problem. Too many things we want to do. How do we focus and do one thing well, right? And so, but first things first, let's strengthen what we have done and our skills. Let's name those, see them clearly. And from there, picking 1, 2, or maybe 3. That's my opinion on it. Keep it simple, keep it narrow in terms of I'm not going to pick 10, but I'm going to do up to 3 big ones.
No,
What about
I
you,
believe.
Kalika? Or what about you?
First of all, I want to agree with you. Having this end of year review and really celebrating the previous 12 months really makes you more confident about what actions we need to take to ensure that the next year or this year is our best yet. So I completely, because a lot of times, people are so, we're guilty of judging ourselves too harshly. And, we sort of skim through all the wonderful things, all the wonderful projects that we've done. So taking a few minutes out of this day, to honestly say, what went well is a good place to start, because you start with gratitude, and you're in that mood of, okay, so I did all this, and you're in the right space rather than always, kicking yourself I didn't do enough.
And that helps us to get away from this cloud of overwhelm that we all tend to get caught up in. A lot of overwhelm is an illusion. This is important, I think, that a lot of our overwhelm is this mental overlay of all of the thinking about what we need to do and all of the tasks ahead of us. If we can look back and say, here's what I accomplished, here's what I learned, here are the strengths I know I've developed and I'm still developing. From there, we tend to rest a bit, right? And this allows us to truly rest in our power. And from there, we've lightened that load of overwhelm. From there, we can see more clearly and actually get things done. So I like to often question overwhelm, right? And it's not that I don't go there regularly. I do. I notice that wave in my body. Wow, I'm just, oh my God, everything's piling up. I have 100 emails or more. And one project after another, after another, after another. How am I going to do it all? And then it's okay, that's when I know I need to simplify and look more clearly, right? See where my strengths are and again, that one small step after another is how we move forward. Yeah, and I'm hoping to do actually a New Year's event at the end of this month. So I'm shooting for a kind of 2 or 3 hour project to do the New Year's recognition and appreciation, and moving into the New Year resolution with mindfulness and compassion
Yeah, I
and
remember
fierce compassion.
oh, is that what you're gonna do? Yeah, well, definitely
Yeah,
let us know so that we can all participate.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wanna I
yeah.
wanna be there. I'll be there. By the way,
It takes time. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm planning the, mindful planning session. I'm doing it tomorrow and on the 29th and the 30th as well too, so
Oh, great.
it's
Please
like
let me know
from
about it. I want to
1
know.
PM to
Yeah,
5 PM, so it's anyway.
great. For
So
the year end, the year in transition for planning.
yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
the same thing, like we did last year, we reflect back, each month and sort of just remember, right? Like,
Hmm.
because sometimes life feels like a blur. Like, what happened? Like, it's 2022 now, and there's so
Yes,
many
yes.
wonderful
And
things that happened.
yeah, and with that negativity bias that's naturally wired in us, we're wired for survival. So we tend to look at what's wrong, what needs fixing, and we rarely give ourselves that literally the time in thinking what we've done right. So again, as you said, we are constantly training our brain every minute, every second, every minute, every hour. And if we can spend more time seeing what's right, then we can actually, again, rest more. Our nervous system rests more. So we're not so much in that fixing flight or fight mode, but we are also feeling more assured, more confident, more steady, more stable, right? From that place.
And then
Like
from
that.
there, we can also take a look at the patterns, right? So as we
Mm.
reflect back, in the year, we can just see like, oh, I can see this pattern. So one of my resolutions is to be able to create loving and harmonious relationships. I didn't know I could actually like have that intention, like you just sort
Uh-huh.
of expect it. But if the intention is, I'm going to actively create loving and harmonious relationships with my clients, with my
Mm.
suppliers and vendors, with my
Mm.
friends and family, because sometimes you don't even think about it, so but what if you made an intention that we're going to actively create harmony in our lives? It'll make a huge difference.
Oh, yeah. Think about what that will do for your sense of ease and well being and your business itself in your relationships in business, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone is looking to be validated and connected, right? No, whether it's a vendor or supplier, someone anywhere on the totem pole, right? In your business, those relationships really make a difference. So, what a great resolution for the new year to
Oh,
consciously go there.
yeah.
I love it.
As I was reflecting of the past year, I'm just like, oh yeah, there's that 5% where like, I could have done better,
Uh-huh.
and you can make that active choice to, not get so angry at, different situations, and just know that it's part of being human, and also
Mm.
not beating yourself up for like getting mad or, angry or ashamed of this particular
Yeah, for
challenge.
having made mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
for
Well,
being
I'm looking
imperfect.
forward. Huh? Yeah.
For being imperfect.
Yeah. We're being human.
Yes.
Well, I'm so looking forward to spending more time with you in 2022. You've been such a joy. You've been my meditation teacher for many, many years now, and so I'm
Oh,
so
Kalika,
excited.
thank you. It was such a joy to be on serendipity that we could be on a retreat together last minute, getting off the wait list and just being able to have that experience was so powerful. And well,
Yeah,
I
thank
look
you for
forward
inviting
to
me.
it just happened out of the blue, just like that.
Just to tell everyone that
Yeah.
literally having a silent retreat was my one big goal, and it happened like the second week of December. And because it was Natalie telling me, "Hey, why don't you just join the wait list?" And I was the last person to get accepted into the retreat, which was sold out for months. But someone who was, I guess, exposed to COVID, had told
Mhm.
the retreat comments that he couldn't make it, and so I took his spot. So thank you, that one person. It was wonderful. It was it was
Oh my
incredible.
God.
So thank you for that invitation, and we took it, right?
Yes, of course. Well, and lastly, I'll say I am launching a new program, Fierce Self-Compassion, in February. And that'll be, again, this new program based on the work of mindful self-compassion and Kristen Neff's new book, Fierce Self-Compassion for Women. So that'll be a very interesting community gathering, learning how we can all be fierce together and in a compassionate way, right? So really being strong and caring, right? Courageous and empathetic. It's like, having all of those capacities without creating any harm. So really doing our best that we can while also taking care of ourselves. This is really a powerful way of seeing how we can live, right? Can I excel and be my strongest, fiercest, and still be the kind person everyone knows, the one that connects, the one that sees, and the one that I can always talk to, right? How do we do that?
How can people find out about that program?
It'll be on my website, launching February 15th. So
NatalieBell.com.
NatalieBell.com. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad, in a way, I know that you were supposed to go to San Diego today, but because of what happened with the, symptoms, that
I
now
know.
you're
Well,
on the
I'm
podcast.
yeah,
Thank you.
and grateful. I'm staying safe and get to be here with you, Kalika. Always a joy. Thank you for what you do. You are amazing. I just love what a connector you are and what you're doing for all of us. Really.
And likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you too. You have been such a fierce proponent for self-compassion and for women as well. And you also spoke at the Mayor's Women Entrepreneurship Day, and you're always supporting entrepreneurs. And if anyone ever wants to, book Natalie for even a virtual or maybe in-person later, session, you can reach out at her at nataliebell.com. Thank you again,
Oh,
Natalie. You're just the best.
thank you, Kalika. Thank you.
You're amazing.